Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to another installment of Scout Selections here for Thursday, January 9th. Before we get into today's play of the day, quick recap of what happened yesterday. We ended up giving out a look-ahead moneyline parlay in the NFL coming up this weekend. So if you have not checked out that video, you can, as it will be the video right after this one in the playlist. But for today's play of the day, on Thursday, January 9th, we're going to be looking at a player prop, actually, in an NBA matchup between the Boston Celtics and the Philadelphia 76ers. This one has a little bit of juice to it, but I think it's warranted based on the line. And the play that I will be on Ben Simmons over 8.5 rebounds, which is available on FanDuel at minus 130. Now, the main reasons why we like this number here, first of all, Simmons recently has been really good at rebounding the basketball. If you've looked at his last couple of games, he's recorded at least 10 rebounds in each of his last 3 games. He had 10 against the Pacers, he had 13 against the Rockets, and he had 15 against Oklahoma City in his last game. Now, attached to that, though, is the fact that he's playing roughly 35 minutes a game. He's playing 35.4 minutes per game. So barring a blowout here, he should definitely see a ton of playing time, which will definitely lead to more opportunities to rebound the basketball. The second reason why is the main reason why we like this prop, and is because Joel Embiid, who is one of the best centers in the entire league, is currently out as he's still dealing with that finger injury. If you hadn't seen that, yeah, it snapped in the wrong place, and they snapped it back in, but he decided to not play today. The reason why this is important is because of the fact that Embiid is averaging 12.3 rebounds per game. So now those 12 rebounds are up for grabs, and Ben Simmons, who's already averaging over 7 rebounds per game, should be able to capitalize. 8.5 is too low of a number. I saw in some offshore markets you could even take a bet builder and get it over 9.5 at plus 106. That is definitely an option, but 8.5 is definitely the safer play there. I think Simmons should be able to record at least 9 rebounds, probably even get into double digits, just based on the fact that in his last 10 games, he is averaging 9.4 rebounds per game. Against the Celtics so far this season, he's played 2 games, played 35.5 minutes, and he's averaging 8 rebounds per game. However, Embiid did play in those games, so now that he's not, you can assume that Simmons should be able to get at least 9 rebounds in this game. 130 is too low for me. DraftKings has the same line at minus 143, and even offshore I saw the same line at minus 145. So minus 130 here seems like a gift, even though it's relatively juicy, at least compared to the normal numbers that we bet on this channel. But I think this number is too low. I think this number will climb to 9.5 before tip. And I think that based on that, you should see a lot of value on this. So the play of the day, once again, will be on Ben Simmons over 8.5 rebounds, which is available on FanDuel at minus 130. Now, talking about the leans on today's card, I'll start out with the game I just mentioned, the Philadelphia 76ers and the Boston Celtics. I am not going to touch this game whatsoever. I don't see any value on it. On one hand, you have Boston, who's looked terrible lately, and also got embarrassed by the Spurs at home last night by double digits. However, Kemba Walker is expected to make his return, so most of Boston's struggles lately have come from the fact that Kemba Walker's been out of the starting lineup because he's been injured, dealing with an illness. He's expected to return, so I'm kind of curious what type of Celtics performance we will get in this spot, so I'm a little bit concerned there. Plus, I think Boston has the coaching advantage with Brad Stevens, so I think there's a bit of uncertainty with regard to what to expect from the Celtics. Meanwhile, Philly, I know they're really good at home, and I know that they've played, they haven't really played well either lately. I know that they won their last game against Oklahoma City. The team's awful on the road, very good at home, but they're missing their best player in Embiid. They're laying 2 here. I don't want to touch this game. I'm personally going to pass. I know money has come in on the over, which makes sense because Embiid is a pretty solid rim protector. The line has gone from 214 to roughly 216.5. I'd lean to the over there. I think you should see some points. Lean to the over. Other than that, look at the rest of the NBA card. I'm going to lean to the under 227 between the Rockets and the Thunder. Line opened up at 227. It's been bet down to 226 in some spots. 227 is still available in some spots, though. Rockets are playing the second night of a back-to-back after a very it's an intense game against Atlanta. Harden had one of the most inefficient 40-point triple-doubles I've ever seen. He had 41 points, 10 rebounds, 10 assists, and he shot 9 of 34 from the floor. Yeah, good luck with that. Other than that, Westbrook will be having a revenge game potentially against Oklahoma City in his first return to the franchise. He'll get a large ovation just because of the fact that the fans loved him in OKC. I think he'll put on a good performance. Oklahoma City, though, with Gallinari out of the lineup, has been a lot more defensive-oriented. They've put in Baisley into the starting lineup, not really a big offensive threat whatsoever. Adams, though, is very solid defensive anchor. Gilgeous-Alexander's solid. Chris Paul's been really good lately. Ferguson has been okay. this season. He's an athletic guy, so he's a decent perimeter defender. He's only averaging 5 points per game, give or take. So I think Oklahoma City should struggle a bit offensively. Meanwhile, Houston might run out of gas playing the second night of a back-to-back. Harden might be exhausted after putting up 40-something the night before. House is a decent shooter. Tucker's been pretty much non-existent offensively lately. Eric Gordon's a game-time decision. He might not play. But overall, for me, I'll link to the under there. I think this game should be a bit more low-scoring. First matchup between these two teams, total 228 points, so barely over the total, but Gallinari did play, and so did Eric Gordon in that game. I think you should see both offenses struggle a bit more. Lean to the under in that one. Now, talking about college basketball, there are a couple of primetime matchups to talk about. You got Michigan and Purdue. I know Livers is still out for Michigan, but I'll lean to the Wolverines here. Very good at home so far this season, and I think they should be able to take care of business. Purdue's prided itself in recent years on its size. You've had the Caleb Swanigans, and you've also had the Isaac Hostas and all those guys. But as a whole, Michigan actually has the ability to match Purdue on the size this season, which is kind of surprising. Michigan at home has been really solid. Purdue, I'm a little bit concerned with their guards here. I think you should see Sampson have a pretty big game for Michigan. I think they should be able to get the job done in front of the home crowd. Lean to Michigan in that one. Other than that, you have Oregon versus Arizona. I'm going to lean to Michigan. Very interesting spot here for Arizona. They haven't won a road game all year. They're 0-1, and Oregon's still undefeated at home. Arizona, since December 22nd, has played one game. They've played one game in the last 2 weeks or so, or 2.5 weeks, or 3 weeks. It's probably like midterm final season or whatever, but I don't know how sharp you're going to look when you played one game in roughly 2.5 weeks. Oregon's been really good. Arizona has a size advantage, which is a bit concerning, but Oregon I just think is a better overall team. I think Pritchard should have a pretty solid game. I think Justice will have a solid game, and I think Oregon should be able to get away with the win. Lean to Oregon, minus the 3 in that one. Other than that, looking at the rest of the betting card here, don't really like anything else in college basketball. I thought about giving out the Oregon play as the play of the day, but I decided not to do it, but I still like that lean in itself. Other than that, though, looking at the NHL, I'll give out some NHL leans because I haven't done that in a while. I'm going to lean to the Tampa team total over in this game. Should be around 3.5, give or take. Tampa's been absolutely rolling. They've won, it's either 8 straight or 9 straight. They finally woke up from the coma they were in for the first couple of months. They scored 9 goals in their last game. Arizona's still missing Kemper, who's still out with an injury. So I think Tampa Bay should be able to score at least 3.5 in this game. Link to the over. I think they'll get at least 3 with an empty netter opportunity, potentially 4 through the first 2.5 periods. Lean to the over in the team total on that one. Other than that, what do I like here? I'm going to lean to Chicago here as an underdog play against Nashville. Nashville has shown me absolutely nothing over the last couple of weeks. They've completely deteriorated. They fired their coach. They brought in the backup coach, and he got smacked 6-2 against the Bruins in his first game as head coach. I know the Bruins are a very solid team, but when you're opener for a new coach, you give up 6 goals. Not exactly a good sign. Now that to play on the road against Chicago. Chicago any good? No. But at the same point, I think Chicago is good enough to potentially sneak away with a victory here. For value alone, lean to the Blackhawks on that one. And other than that, though, what do I like here? I think that's pretty much it from the betting perspective. I will actually link to Edmonton as an underdog on the road against Montreal. Montreal's been an absolute disaster. They lost to Detroit again in their last game. Edmonton's still in the hunt for first place in their division. That division is it's just an absolute mess, and they're going to need as many points as they can get. Montreal has shown me nothing. I think they pretty much quit on the coaching staff at this point of the season. Lean to Edmonton there. I don't really think they should be an underdog. Lean to the Oilers on that one. But play that I once again will be on Ben Simmons over 8.5 rebounds, which is available on FanDuel. Actually, it's gone down a little bit. It's available on FanDuel at minus 128. Kind of like what happened with the Jazz video the other day. The line's gone down in the middle of recording. So, updated play of the day. It's going to be on Ben Simmons over 8.5 rebounds, which is available on FanDuel at minus 128. That's going to do it for this installment of Scott Selections here for Thursday, January 9th. And good luck to all of you and your respective bets today. Bye, everyone.